Welcome to Ethiopia Today. Water poverty and threats to water sustainability in Egypt is an old discussion that has recently resurfaced. Egypt had been suffering from water poverty years before Ethiopia started building the Grand Renaissance Dam, as the water use per capita reached 740 cubic meters in 2007. Meanwhile, the global water poverty threshold is 1,000 cubic meters per capita annually. The yearly average water use per capita in Egypt is estimated at 556 cubic meters by 2025 according to the Egyptian Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation. Hence, water poverty in Egypt is not a direct result of the Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam and its effects on the share of Nile water per capita, says a research paper published on March 30, 2022 on Arab Reform Initiative website. There are other factors and reasons that have exacerbated Egypt's water poverty according to the paper. Firstly, exponential popular growth. Population growth in Egypt is one of the most dangerous phenomena affecting nearly all facets of life, including water policy. Since Egypt is already the first Arab nation and the third African nation in terms of population after Ethiopia and Nigeria, the exponential population growth will only exacerbate the water crisis. Secondly, Egypt's exposure to climate change. Additional studies are needed to truly understand the effects of climate change on different water resources, and the extent to which water policy can respond to this phenomenon or be redesigned accordingly. Compared to the annual water use per capita in 1959, which stood at 1,893 cubic meters, the exponential population growth has a detrimental effect on water security. Furthermore, even if we were to theoretically remove all the repercussions of building and operating the Grand Renaissance Dam on water use per capita, Egypt would continue to suffer from acute water poverty. Egypt began prioritizing on water policy in its legislations, particularly with regard to the Nile River, with the issuance of Law No. 48/1982, which was the first law on the protection of the Nile River and other waterways from pollution. However, these legislations lacked a strategic dimension, which is the community's engagement in water policy making. A long overdue remedy was adopted by the end of 2016, when the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation developed the Water Resources Management and Development Strategy. In fact, the ministry is tasked with formulating appropriate water policies to guarantee that agricultural, industrial, water and navigation needs are met. A thorough reading of the 2050 Water Resources Management and Development Strategy reveals that Egypt's water needs 110 billion, or almost twice the available water resources, 59.25 billion. Although the ministry is tasked with formulating water policies, several governmental bodies and ministries intervene in this issue as stakeholders. 10 Egyptian ministries have overlapping jurisdictions, mandates and interests in the water issue, which requires close coordination to avoid conflicts. In addition, there is no indication that the tools of social dialogue or engagement of different stakeholders, especially citizens, are used in strategy making, which can be considered a weakness. The strategy also lacks measurable goals and focuses on mapping water usage in Egypt, as well as presenting other water-related data. While this information should be available to the public, it is not sufficient by itself. The water usage map shows that agriculture and irrigation account for 80% of water use in Egypt, which contradicts the common belief that drinking water or household or industrial uses are the main uses of water in Egypt. Although these figures are issued by the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, a thorough examination of the ministry's publications, particularly the 2050 Water Resources Strategy, shows that 15–30% of the total water needs of the industrial sector are derived from the drinking water supply network. It should be noted that according to the strategy, the overall needs of the industrial sector stood at 5.40 billion cubic meters in 2015, without taking into consideration cooling water for power generation. After clarifying the main threats to water security, it is important to ask how successive governments dealt with water policy, whether by finding alternatives, such as seawater desalination projects, reducing water waste, such as canal lining projects, taking decisions to stop the growing of water-consuming crops, or developing the prepaid drinking water network in Egyptian households. Are these measures part of a bigger water policy? Since the January 2011 revolution and the transfer of power between governments and regimes in rates not seen in Egypt for decades, after former President Mohamed Hosni Mubarak had ruled for 3 decades from 1981 to 2011, the management of several strategic issues including water policy has changed significantly. In the past, this issue was under the mandate of sovereign security bodies, while civil ministries addressed minor parts of it, such as preventing water and environmental pollution. However, after the revolution, civil ministries, particularly the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, have played a larger role in this regard. The management of this issue has long been characterized by confidentiality and inaccessibility to the public. It has also been reactive, rather than proactive, as well as responsive to events and developments. The announcement of ambitious projects without implementing the majority of them, and the lack of clear and predictive plans. After the January 2011 revolution, the situation changed to a certain extent, be it as a direct result of the revolution's momentum or due to associated but indirect results. By highlighting 4 characteristics observed in the developments of water policy making during the period following the January Revolution, we notice some relative progress in the following areas: new legislations, agreements, and predictive strategies. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi signed the 2015 Khartoum Declaration of Principles with Ethiopia and Sudan. It is a goodwill declaration of principles on the Nile's common water between the 3 countries. It also stipulated that Egypt recognizes the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and included guarantees that no harm will be made to the interests of downstream and upstream states. The paper continues. In December 2016, the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation made the Water Resources Management Strategy available to the public for the first time. The strategy aims at increasing water resources by desalinating 1.5 billion cubic meters of water by 2030 to use as drinking water. This quantity is set to double by 2037. Making water strategies and details of projects available to the public is undoubtedly important, and progress has been made in this regard. However, there is still a gap not only in the community's awareness of water policies, but also in its engagement in policy making. In September 2021, a new law on water and sanitation was promulgated to preserve water and avoid water waste. The current Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouly, had previously submitted the draft law when he was Minister of Housing, Utilities and Urban Communities in January 2016. The increase in promulgated laws and the announcement of water strategies is part of the Egyptian regime's policy, adopted since July 2013 to manage all sectors and areas, including technology and digital rights, which suffered from neglect and legislative delay over the decades. Areas of implementation of water projects. Under the presidential term of Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, several water policy projects were launched. According to the research paper Statistics, there are 30 projects in total, 27 of which were truly implemented, whereas the remaining 3 are ongoing, namely the modernization project for the systems and spillway gates of Esna Barrage, Toshka Barrage, and the seawater desalination project in Matra Governorate. The National Canal Lining Project is one of the biggest water projects in Egypt. According to the Egyptian State Information Service, which is a government-run media authority, the first phase of the project will cost approximately 2.8 billion Egyptian pounds and covers 398,000 acres. 60% of the required funding is from local allocations, 25% from external loans, and 15% from grants given by international financial institutions, which support a number of modern irrigation system programs and water use optimization methods in developing countries. The National Canal Lining Project aims to reduce wasted water on the Nile's banks by 15 to 19 billion cubic meters per year due to Egypt's old canal system. This system was built in the era of Muhammad Ali, almost 200 years ago. It is also formed of clay, which is permeable. This project's goal is to replace clay with concrete to line the new canals built in the Sinai Peninsula. We found the paper very useful, and it has highlighted fundamental reasons behind the Egypt's fear of water shortage. We encourage our followers to post your comments in this matter. Here's the end of our presentation. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bar so that you won't miss any of our exciting videos. Don't be the only one to enjoy the video. Share it with your loved ones too. Don't forget also to check out our collections on description section. May God bless Africa and its people. Many thanks.